You ever have just way too much shit in your pockets? That was me right now. Who saw me speak yesterday? Hands high. Who didn't see me speak yesterday? Hands high. Who's just sitting here because it's a place to sit for the last 30 minutes of the show? Gosh, your ass. Is it okay if we have a really good conversation here? Yes? I hate giving lectures. I love having conversations. Conversations work how many ways? 2. Good. Also, very, very clear. I am very transparent. No bullshit. If you're looking for someone that tells you it's really easy to do all this stuff and you're going to like press a few buttons and make a bunch of money, that's just not here today. Is that okay? Yes? Cool. Probably like a lot of you, I started my first business selling lemonade. I went from lemonade to selling to doing parties, DJ, and then doing parties. The reason I wanted to do parties was simple. You get paid to play music, paid to hang out with chicks, and then you make money doing parties. It was sick. I went from doing parties to online marketing. How? We promoted all of our events through Facebook. So by the time I was 17, we started to do large Facebook promotions for speakers, companies, all that stuff. Went from 17 to 18, 19, went to college, started to launch a digital marketing company. I'm going through this shit so fast because we got a small amount of time today, and I just want to spend a lot of time with you. Is that okay? Say yes? Cool. Went from Facebook parties, doing parties to launch digital products. Did that for 20, 21, 22. Started to become a speaker. Got invited to speak places. That was cool. It was very interesting. I was speaking at Harvard, and then the next day I had a class in college called Public Speaking 101. That teacher hated me. Whole story. I can give a lecture on that class. But anyway, have you ever in your life hit what's called burnout? Yes? No? The rest of you are just perfect? I had burnout happen, which means like I kind of overdid it. I was traveling like 250,000 miles a year, full time in college, running a digital marketing company that was doing about $150,000 a month, and at 21. And by 22, I was burned out, and I said, okay, I'm tired. I'm going to take a break. And I took a break by exiting that company, and then kind of just messing around for a while. And I took like an 18-month hiatus. It was amazing. It was awesome. And I eventually got bored, and I came back. And what I did for the last basically 6 years before COVID hit was that I would come into your company and I'd help you scale it, sell your products, and then I would take a gross revenue royalty of whatever it is that you did. And we would work on like 20 to 40 companies a year based upon how much I wanted to do. And it was fun. Like I got to work with tons of different niches. We did helicopter companies, we did CBD companies, we did adult entertainment companies, we did roofing companies, you named it, we helped them scale. And I got paid in gross, which was sick. And then something interesting happened and I was still speaking a lot, but then COVID hit. And COVID was, in my mind, the great equalizer for small business because now we all had to stay home and we all had to still market our products. And so you had to make the transition or the pivot from whatever it is that you were doing to strictly on the internet. And it was interesting for me because I spent my entire adult life, the last 10, 12 years, telling people you have to sell where? Online. And everyone, there's two kinds of people when you tell them you have to sell online. There's the person that says, I'm going to do that and I'm doing that. And there's the person that says, I'll get to it. How many of you are I'll get to it people in here? Tell the truth. At least you're honest. So all the rest of you are just crushing the internet. No, so that means you'll get to it. Because if you're not doing it and actively selling right now, that means you're an I'll get to it. So my challenge has always been like, stop getting to it and start doing it. And today, you know, it's funny, people ask me that saw me speak yesterday, like, what are you going to talk about? And I said, I don't really know. Figure that shit out when we get there. But today what I want to talk about is a few things, and then I'm going to take some questions from you guys about whatever you want to go over. And we'll have some fun while doing it. Cool, say yes? Awesome. And we got party music like the whole time, so this is like just a total like vibe. I'm loving all of it. Now we just need like some tequila and we're totally good. Okay, so a few things that we went over yesterday. For those of you who weren't here, I'm sorry you missed out, but I'm going to go over this quickly. One, most important single thing that you need in a business to eventually start, grow, and eventually sell is what? Someone yell? Leads. You have to have leads. So understand this. Without leads, nothing else happens. You can have the best product in the world, the best systems in the world, the best customer service in the world. If you don't have leads, you don't sell shit. Do we understand? I spent like 10 minutes on this yesterday. We're going to spend 30 seconds on it today. Fair? You have to have leads. So now we have to think, and this is so important, I'll spend more time on this today. You have to think, where do you generate leads from? So where do you generate leads from? So what do you do today to generate leads? Networking, emails. parties, cool. Okay, so in my mind, there's a few places when it comes to generating leads. I think internet and I think social media. Now I think it's really important to understand this. You are never going to be great at every single network. You need to pick one thing and own it. Understood? How many things? One. Good. So now let's break these down. In my mind, there's a few different networks. You have Facebook, you have YouTube, you have Twitter, you have Instagram, you have LinkedIn, you have Snapchat, you have TikTok, and that's enough for today. Fair? Good. All of these networks are different. And you have to treat them as such when it comes to campaigns, ideas, and what you're doing. For instance, when you think of Snapchat, what do you think of? Huh? Videos, short videos. So, for example, if you suck at making short videos, and you know you suck at making short videos, should you market on Snapchat? No, probably not. If your target market is not a younger generation, and that you can't capture in 10 seconds, should you market on Snapchat? No, probably not. Now, if you're great at making videos and capturing attention within 10 seconds, should you be running ads on Snapchat every single day? Hell yes, good, sick. So now let's go to the next one, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is for who? Professionals. So if your target market is professionals and that's the only person you're trying to get after, should you be running ads on LinkedIn? When I think of LinkedIn, I think of just ugly ass UI and I hate it, but some people love it. But if you're thinking about marketing to professionals, you should be marketing where? Good. Instagram, what do you think of when you think of Instagram? Photos, good. So if you're really good at taking photos and making sure that you can run an ad behind a photo, you should probably market where? On Instagram. But you have to have a product that you know is going to sell on Instagram. If you don't have if you think your product is like not going to sell on Instagram, you're probably what? You're probably right. Don't do it. I, for one, my wife says I am the worst photo taker in history. So like, yeah, I just don't take photos and then post them and then do ads behind them. I'll have someone else do that. But like me, I'm bad at that. So you have to know what you're good at, what you're not good at. Now next, Pinterest. What's Pinterest? Huh? How-tos, but more importantly, who is the user base on Pinterest? Let me ask this question. Who in here has a Pinterest account? Hands high. Please, higher. Okay, we have, there's one dude. One dude. Sick, you're the man. What does that show you? That shows you if you're selling a product to women, where should you be on? Forget all the other networks. Forget every other network. If you have a product and I just want to sell to women, skip all the other shit because Pinterest is dominated by who? So go to where they're already at, go to where they're spending a ton of time and sell your product there. Do you understand? Yes or no? Yes, good. Now lastly is this thing called Facebook, right? And maybe I missed one or two, but whatever. Lastly is this thing called Facebook. Now, Facebook is interesting because it's in a way the OG and that it's been around a long time. And in my mind, it is the only network that what I call mature. What I mean by mature is that every demographic and every generation is on it. You're on it, I'm on it, she's on it, the youngest person in the room is probably on it, the oldest person in the room is probably on it. Now why is that? I think it's important to understand why these social medias have become what they become so you can now effectively market on them, okay? Facebook had this thing happen that was called the grandparent effect. Anyone in here a grandparent? Okay. Do you like your kids or the grandkids better? The grandchildren, right? See, I haven't had this happen yet, but I know for a fact that the second that I have kids, my parents are going to be like, you're useless, where are the grandbabies at? And so what happened on Facebook was the older demographics got on it because the kids were posting photos of who? The other kids. The grandparent effects happened. You now have a network that's mature, and it's been the only, and I want to be very clear on this, it has been the only network that has actually got through every single generation demographic on it. What does this mean? This means it's a marketer's dream. You should be running ads on there. You should be using it, especially if you're not using one of the other ones. They know more information about us than you know about yourself. Anyone in here single? Hands high if you're single. I promise you Facebook knows your next boyfriend or girlfriend before you even do. Like, that's how much shit they know about us. But it's scary. We can get into a different conversation about that. But you have to understand that when it comes to running an ad on there, you have to do it. You should be doing it. How many people in here run ads consistently now? And don't bullshit, like tell the truth. Good. Like 6 of us. What is the excuse for the rest of you? Huh? Capital. Can you invest 20 bucks a day? Huh? Sorry, yell at me, I can't hear you. 30 a week, okay, but that's a start, correct? And so if you can turn 30 a week into maybe 1 or 2 customers, that maybe turns into 60. Okay, who else? What else? Why aren't you running ads on there? You have to tell the truth, like why? Yes. I don't know how to do it. Cool, sick. Have you ever heard, and is it okay if I challenge you guys today? Is that okay? Have you ever heard of this thing called YouTube? What? You're on YouTube often? Okay, so like a few years back, my, at the time, girlfriend asked me, she's not my wife, but my, at the time girlfriend, she said, can you make me pancakes? And I said, I don't know how to make pancakes, like I don't know how to do that. Like I'm good at making steaks, but breakfast is not my forte. But she asked me to do something, I'm not gonna just not do it, I'm gonna do it. So what I did is I went to this place called YouTube, and I typed in a very simple sentence, and it said, how to make pancakes. I then went to the kitchen and made flawless pancakes within half an hour. So if you don't know how to do it, there's an amazing resource that you can learn how to do it. And here's my challenge to you guys. Stop waiting for some speaker or some internet guru or some marketer to tell you to do the shit that you know you need to do. Is that okay? Cut that shit out. Go and do it. You're entrepreneurs, yes? You have to figure it out. You have to, you know that this is what a lot of people are doing. Why are we not doing that? So I'll challenge you, like, I can explain for you how to do it, but you still have to what? You have to do it. How was your first time riding a bike, everyone? Probably sucked. You probably fell, right? It's the same process here when it comes to creating these ads. It's going to take a few flops before it gets good. Someone asked me yesterday how many times I smoke, and I'm like, I have no idea. They're like, it was a good talk. I'm like, well, the first one was not. By the 151th, it's a little better. By the 1000th one, it's very good. You know what? My point is that you have to practice these things and try it. So, we have to run an ad, okay? We have to run an ad, and we have to run an ad to a website that actually converts. We talked about this a bit yesterday, but I'm going to get a little more depth in it. So, step number 1, we need traffic to generate leads. We need to figure out what are these networks that we're going to pick. I don't care which network it is, you pick one network and you rock that network. Do you understand? Do not go home tonight and say, Austin told me to run ads, and then start running ads on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Like, that's not, but don't do that shit. Pick one, okay? And I don't care what the budget is. I don't care if it's 10 bucks a day, 30 bucks a week, 50 bucks a day. Doesn't matter what it is, you have to do what? You have to start, good. So we have to run an ad. Then we have to run an ad to a website that actually works. We have to run an ad to a website that converts. Stop sending people to websites that you don't even like. And I want to be clear, like, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, and if you want to ask me questions about it, I'm going to give you guys some time to ask questions here in a second. But if your friends all love your website probably is bad. Okay? Because your friends are probably not the ideal customer who has no idea who you are. It's really important to understand a few things. Number 1, the customer only cares about who? Themselves. The customer does not give a shit about us. It's so important when you drill that down that the customer doesn't care about us, the customer cares about themselves and the result they are going to receive, and that is it. I know this is depressing, I'm sorry. Like, I care about you, but the customers don't. Okay, I care about you. People care about you. It's just not people that aren't buying your stuff. They only care about the result they're going to receive when they spend money with you. Do you understand? Yes or no? For instance, why did you guys come here today to this talk? To see me? I'm irrelevant. What? To learn. So, I hate that answer. Who came here to learn? I'll tell you why. Hold on. Who came here to learn? Hands high. Before I said I hate that answer, tell the truth. Cool. So if I told you you were going to come here, you were going to learn a ton of information, then you were going to go home and nothing was going to change, would you be here? Would you be here? You're just going to learn, but then nothing changes. There's no shift. Nothing happens. You don't make any more money. You're still in the same exact boat. You wouldn't be here, correct? Because it'd be a colossal waste of time. So we have to change our language and how we say something. You're not here to learn. You're here to make a result happen. Whether that's to make more money, whether that's to learn how to have online. Maybe you just came here because I made you laugh once or twice yesterday. Cool, I don't give a shit. But don't come here just to learn. Come here because there's a result you want to change. In It's the same thing with your customers. Your customers don't want to learn, they want to buy the results, so sell the results. Good on this? Yes? Is this helpful so far? Good. I went on a rant there. We were supposed to be talking about websites that convert, and we just kind of flip, but that happens sometimes. So we had to take them to a website that converts. Now, what this means is don't take them to a corporate website, take them to a web, like, and when I say by corporate website, I mean that's a site that has like a home page, an about us page, a products page, all that stuff. You give people tons of options, they get what? They get confused. They get confused, what do? They leave, right? Like, you know, if I came up here and said I was going to talk about online marketing, drop shipping, the Nano Advantage, and I don't know, whatever that one says, you would not be here because there'd be too many options. It'd be confusing. My talk is very simple. Like, I'm focused on one thing and one, in a sense, we're focused on one subject, so it makes sense why you're here. Don't give people options. Give them one option. Now, the first option you want to have on a website is you want to get their information. Why do you want to get their information? Because you have to have a lead. You have to capture the lead and turn it into a sale. Understood? So your page should look something like this. You know, some copy, underneath it, we ask for the information, that's it. Don't ask for a ton of information. You only need their name or their email. You don't need anything else. Sorry, their email or their phone number. I think you should capture their phone number because people actually read their text and they don't read their emails as much. We'll talk about that in a second. Everyone good on everything so far? Okay, cool. I'm having fun, but I think we can have more fun. Is that okay if we switch it up completely? Say yes. I just want you to ask me a question, or I'll take whatever challenge or thing that you're dealing with right now, and we'll just go off of that. Like, I don't care what it is, as long as it's regarding something to do with the internet, whatever question that you have, I'll just take that question and we'll go from there. Yes.
You never talk about Google Ads.
I'm coming. Right. Google Ads? So I'm a big believer in Google Ads, basically only for one thing though, physical location. If you have a physical, because they're so expensive compared to the other forms of ads. Like a Google ad is going to cost anywhere from 3 to 5x, sometimes more than what a Facebook ad costs. And it's fine if you have a physical location where you're doing like local marketing to drive people into, but if you're not and you're strictly relying on converting from a website, the spend, for the average person, the spend gets so high that the cost isn't there, or that the reward isn't there. I think they're very effective. I think that when you're not doing local, you're just as better going somewhere else. I'm a huge fan of Google, obviously. I think they're great. I think AdWords is awesome. I just think how much you get charged is like, the average, like my brother over here said he's got the $30 budget a week, and I understand that. Like, there's nothing wrong with having that. He would get 3 clicks on Google. It's hard to make any traction on 3 clicks. Other questions? And there's no way you don't have questions, because if you don't, yes. We find, so what we focus on when we talk about ad campaigns is we do zip code marketing, which is really, really important. And we just look at not the click-through rate, but the actual opt-in rate. I'm going to get the clicks no matter what. I need to make sure the clicks convert. Does that make sense? But we do all of our ads, no matter how large or small the campaign is, to zip codes. Now, why do we do zip codes? Because I could find out so much information about a human being and a family that lives in a zip code, and it costs me how much to find out that information? It costs me nothing. Census Bureau and Google, like I can find out so much about, like if you tell me what zip code you live in, and currently, I can literally within 10 minutes tell you a whole lot of shit about yourself that, you know, you wouldn't have to actually explain to me. Yes, other questions on stuff? If you don't have questions, we'll keep going where I was going, but I don't mind either way. I figured you might have questions because you're sitting here and you don't want to be lectured at. What? Which kind of ads, what? Yeah, so I'm not a big believer in like the long video ads. Like I think they work, I'm just not very, like I hate getting on video and talking, like not a fan of that. I think simple works really well. I think people try to overcomplicate stuff. It depends on what you're selling and what you're doing, but I'm a big believer in like simple photo, simple text is a great way to get people to take action. I'm a big person in like, have you ever received one of those emails that was like 8 pages long? Like, I don't get those people, you know? Like, who will read that shit? That's just not me. And so I'm a big believer in like how how I react to marketing and how what I buy and that kind of stuff is what I want to create that kind of content. Like I will click an ad off of just a photo and some text. I don't need to watch a 45-second video. And I think if you can, I think you really should like do what you like. How do you buy? So however you buy is how content you should create, because you can relate to that very easily and that is easily creatable. Does that make sense? Other questions? Yes. Yeah. So I'm a big believer in A/B testing. I'm also like test, track, tweak, 3 T's. So I always test, track, and tweak things in the sense that I want to change like 1 or 2 things at a time, and that's kind of it. And then figure out how to make it better, how to make it worse. I think it's really important to have good systems. For instance, I always love asking this question. How many of you in here have Google Analytics? Hands high, please, right? Okay, good. How many of you looked at it this week? The rest of you? Like, I think tools and systems are amazing. The challenge is that we have to use them. If we use the tools, like, it makes things a lot easier. So yes, big believer in test tracking, tweaking, big believer in A/B split testing, big believer in using systems. I use a really cool tool called mouseflow.com. I don't get paid by them at all to talk about it, but mouseflow.com actually tracks what people's mouses do on your websites for 99 bucks to see like where, if they like it or don't like it type of thing. It's really cool. So yeah, I'm a big believer in all those kinds of things. And that's why we created Mobex Pro, right? We created Mobex Pro because I looked at all these different systems out there and I thought I could create a better way for people to do this stuff. I made a tool that allows people to do their text message marketing, create their sales page and squeeze pages, do all their follow-up emails and texts, and do it so that any single person that's not like, you don't have to be a tech nerd to do it. You just drag and drop some stuff. So that's why we created that. And if I have time, I'll do a demo today. I think this will work. So, other questions? Yes.